Tutorial, I will examine how to refine my keywords in a search and also how to make use of some of the limiters. These are the things that you see over on the left-hand side of the screen. In the Peer Reviews Journal video, I showed you how to limit results to peer-reviewed journals. I will be doing that again, but just for the sake of knowing, in OneSearch, there are many different types of articles and materials available. So notice on the left side that the number one item from this search is newspapers, which is not unusual, articles, books, book chapters, etc. So on the everything, as you see from here as I've searched by default, I'm seeing books and electronic books that the library owns. I'm seeing books that are available via Pascal Delivers. And I'm also seeing articles that the library owns access to. So to examine more fully this topic and just to try to find a peer-reviewed articles on it, I will look under the Availability tab and select Peer-Reviewed Journals, as I did in the previous video, and select Remember All Filters. For this particular topic, I'm interested today to not just see what the Limestone College Library happens to own access to, but also to find all of the relevant peer-reviewed articles on the topic of lacrosse. So to do this, as a reminder, I will select Expand My Results under Refine My Results. So now I'm seeing articles that are available to me online and those that have no online access. Because I've selected the peer-reviewed filter, I'm mostly now seeing articles under resource type. Now there are two useful things that I'm going to look at. The first will be the advanced search, but before I do that, I wanted just to make use of a few more limiters over on the left side of the screen. So instead of advanced searching, I can do a few things. One is to look through the articles that I found if I'm not sure exactly what I want to study. And I'm noticing a few things. For example, I see high school, boys and girls. Here is collegiate, head impacts. So I'm seeing a few different kinds of things that are being studied, elite male lacrosse players that people are writing about. And so it looks like just based on this first page, that articles are being broken down by male and female, by high school versus collegiate. For other sports, maybe professional versus college, etc., etc. So using my subject features on the side, these are the terms that people who have cataloged these articles have used to describe them. And so it could be useful, for example, if you wanted just to write here, limit yourself down to male or female lacrosse. Notice that there are a lot of articles that are coming up under these terms. The subjects are arranged by default by the number of articles that apply to them. So the most at the top and the least at the bottom. But instead of doing a subject search, in this case, I am going to instead manually input keywords, and I'm going to use the advanced search feature which I just clicked on. So notice I can toggle back to simple search if I want, but using the advanced search gives me a little more control over the options that I'm seeing. Remember your Boolean operators, and or not. And will decrease the amount of results that you see by adding one or more terms and telling the computer that you only want to see results that include all of the terms that you add. Or would increase the results. So for example here, if I said lacrosse or football, I would get any article that mentioned either of those sports. Not would limit the results that you see. So for example, if maybe in lacrosse you were seeing another country's results, for example, you were seeing a country like Sweden appear, you could put in that country and say, I don't want to see articles about that particular search term because it's not relevant to what you are looking for. Just be careful that you do not limit the articles you want to see unnecessarily. So for example, if I wanted to limit my results to a particular type of lacrosse, which would be a good thing to do, I might say college or collegiate. Notice that I have included "or" in all capital letters. This is necessary in this system to tell the computer that you're giving it a command, a Boolean search operator, rather than just writing the word "or." So this would work for finding results of, say, college or collegiate. However, a handy tool that I oftentimes use to bypass having to type out several different forms of a word is to use what we call a truncation symbol. I'll simply call it the asterisk mark because that's what it is, the little mark above the letter 8 on the standard keyboard. By doing this, it tells the computer that I want the root colleague here and any combination of letters that comes after it, or none at all. So in this case, I would receive college, colleges, collegiate, etc. Below this, I can add a new line and perhaps type in injury. So in this case, I'm looking for articles that talk about injuries rather than articles that are talking about just collegiate lacrosse. And maybe in this case, I'll do a star just for the sake of demonstration to show you that injure would receive articles that have that root. So now when I click search, because I remembered the peer-reviewed journals filter, it's automatically applied that. So I'm seeing all articles that are peer-reviewed that Limestone has direct access to, see via available online, or that I could get via interlibrary loan for the ones that say no online access. By clicking on an article, for example, this first one, I'm prompted with my tools at the top here for providing a citation. Looking down the article, I see the subject terms that are applied to this article. And below that, I see the description, oftentimes called an abstract. When you input keywords into the search box, the search engine is looking through all of the information that you see on this page. So note that it is not searching the full text of the article. A handy feature for many articles is the find sources, quote, cited in this at the bottom of the page. That will link you to the various articles that are cited in this particular article, which could be helpful for your further research in finding more sources. And note that under View Online, Full Text Availability, click on one of the options here, it doesn't matter which, to read the article in full text. So this particular search result yielded me 22,000. That is narrower than the first set that we got, but looking through these results, I might decide to use a particular type of injury. So let's say ball contact injury. And by doing that, by focusing on one particular type of injury, notice this has yielded 77 results, which is quite a narrow set of results. This would be ball contact injuries related to collegiate lacrosse, so not other types of lacrosse, hopefully. And so by looking through these, this would be a fairly narrow literature, as we call it in the academic world. Hopefully most of these articles would be related, and it would be then up to you to look through and select the best ones. Normally, the more recent articles will be positioned toward the top. However, notice that on the left limiter, I could select, for example, a narrower set of articles by time, which took my results down a few more. So that concludes this brief tutorial on how to use keywords, a keyword search in the advanced search box at the top of the page, to link into a specific set of results, and also making use of your limiters on the left side of the page. In this case, we were looking for peer-reviewed journal articles, but you could replicate this for looking through books and or newspaper articles or other types of sources under the Resource Type tab on the left side of the screen.